What's up, guys? With OG Jordan prices through the roof at this point, I wanted to do another legit check video. That's probably the most common thing that gets asked to me. Are these legit? So in this video, we're going to cover 5 ways that you can legit check a 1985 Air Jordan OG by yourself. For those of you that are new, this is Vintage Kicks Gallery. Alright guys, so I have in this box a pair of the black and white 85s. Or are they? One of them's fake, one of them's real. So before we get started, I want you to tell me, we're going to open up a poll, and I want to know, is the shoe on the right fake, or is the shoe on the left fake? You let me know, open up the poll now, and we'll see how good you did by the end. I'm just kidding, I'm going to tell you now. Alright, so what we have here, if you did guess this one is the authentic, you were right, but we have an authentic pair and we have a fake bootleg pair here. And we're going to go over 5 ways that you can legit check. And I understand that a lot of you that are buying overseas, you need to be able to legit check really quick. You may not be able to ask the buyer questions. It's alright, we're going to cover some telltale signs to help you avoid getting ripped off. The number one thing you want to look at is the check. So take a look at these checks and you're going to notice they're different. Now really take a look at them now. Notice a difference in that texture, that material? Well, a 1985 Air Jordan should have a smooth check. It should be a vinyl, almost plastic material. Now look at the shape. Most of the bootlegs you see, and I mean 99% of them, they're going to have a check that's too small and isn't the right shape. If you really look, you can tell exactly what I'm talking about. That's pretty easy, right? After you've looked at the checks, I want you to look at one other thing here, and that is this stitching. So take a look at this stitch line here, and then this stitch line. Notice how it meets the check on here, and it's above the check on that. That is a telltale sign because you will not find an authentic pair of Air Jordans that have the stitching like this. If there's anything that should jump out at you, it should be that. So always hone in on that swoosh area, check them out, check the stitching, and you should know. Alright, the next telltale sign is the toe box perforations, and it may be a little bit hard to tell from here, but take a look close up. Notice anything different? The authentic has a slightly bigger opening for each one of the perforation holes, and you'll notice on bootlegs they're either really small or they're really sloppy, and this is what I'm talking about. Alright, the third thing you're going to look at is the tongue height. If you notice, the tongue height on the authentic pair is higher than the bootleg. I haven't seen a single fake pair of 85s that have a correct height on the tongue. Now, don't panic if you have a pair of 85s and it's flush with the collar or anything like that. That's not what I'm talking about. If you look at this, you'll notice that it's actually below the collar height, and that's what I'm talking about, a big difference. So different factories on the 85 OGs will have different heights. In fact, they can vary even on the same factory from pair to pair because I suspect these were all hand cut. If you have a pair though that dips below the collar, you know it's highly suspect and you should get those checked out. Alright, the fourth thing we're going to look at may be a little bit difficult when you're buying via auction or with the seller where you don't have them in hand, because you actually have to look at the inside of the shoe. So if you take a look at an authentic pair, which I'll show you here, you're going to notice that they're board lasted. The bootlegs, on the other hand, are not board lasted. They have a very odd material down there. They kind of look board lasted, but if you really look at that material, you're gonna see texture. So when you look at the inside, when you take the insole out, they should really look like a board. They should be brown, you should see glue residue, and there's a distinct difference. The next thing you're gonna look at on the inside is the sock liner material. So take a look at what I'm talking about. I don't know if you'll be able to tell from here, but here's a close-up. Notice how on the fake pair, it's kind of shiny, it almost looks like silk. Whereas on the authentic pair, it's dull, it has a nice texture to it, and you can really tell almost that it's a off black at this point. It shouldn't have a very rich color, even on a dead stock pair. While you're at it on the inside, take a look at the bottom of the insole. This is something I just noticed. There is a Nike logo on the fake pair. Why that is, I'm suspecting they used the insole from a different pair of shoes. Also, it says either these are size 8 to 9, which they're not, they're size 10, or they were made in 1991. I suspect that these bootlegs did come out in 1991 or 92, and they used the insole from something else that was made. The reason why I suspect that is most of the reports that you see about bootleg 85s, they all originate in the early 90s. Most of them are around 94. So that would make perfect sense. Again, something I just discovered, so if you have a bootleg pair and it has something different, definitely leave me a comment. The fifth and final thing should be the most obvious, and that is the shape. So you'll notice that not only is the shape different, but the actual sole design is different too. Take a look. Now, that's not the best way to legit check looking at the sole because different factories use different soles depending on the production date. But none of them used a sole quite like what's on this bootleg. So take a look at the overall shape too. Let's get these just like this so you can see. All right, take a look. Notice the height difference, that's the biggest thing, and the bootleg just seems squashed. It seems smaller in all proportions. That is the case for all the bootlegs. They do not have the correct sizing. These are both marked as size 10, and you'll notice these are significantly smaller. So if you see a pair that just does not have that signature 85 shape, you know it's a little suspect. All right guys, that's gonna do it. Hopefully that gave you an education on how to legit check. If you haven't seen the 85 Buyer's Guide, go ahead and watch that. I also did a full episode on these bootlegs when I first got them, and I didn't have an authentic pair of the same colorway in the same size to compare. So that's why I did a follow-up video here. But if you haven't seen them, go back and watch those. There's some more in-depth details there, and who knows, you may spot something I didn't. All right guys, see you later.